and welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Sir Rick, Drive Safe Dave, and we keep the gas coming in, Drive Safe Dave.
That's right, and you know what? Even though Rick can do his own zoom in and drive the producer crazy, and just drive him mad, we are going to bring the people here that matter, that actually bring the information to the conference, right? It's all about connection.
Is it?
It's all about connection?
It's about connection. So here we go. We're at Women in Trucking 2022.
Yes,
Over 1,700 people here. What are your thoughts? You all just came in here a little bit ago. You walk in full of people. What's your thoughts?
It was amazing. I think it's incredible. There's a lot of talent here, and I think there's a lot of good ideas.
And let me tell you, they ran out of food.
They did. We're a little hungry. We are hungry. We didn't get the couscous.
How did you run out of lunch? That, by the way, my upset factor went like right up here when I walk in there and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir, we're out of lunch."
Well, Drive Safe, you got yours,
I did,
and you're allergic to couscous or
couscous or something. But you know what? Whatever, I tried it.
So if you see his eye leaking out, you just have no fear. It's not pink eye. It's not pink eye.
Okay. No handshaking.
No, it's
all right. So today during the show, this morning's conference, we talked a little bit, and they were talking about driver shortage. They're talking about the issues in trucking, truck parking, and all of that to me screams about one thing, about optimization. Somehow getting better optimization into your fleets to make you run a little bit more efficient.
Safer.
That's right.
Coincidentally, we have a couple of guys here today that can talk a little optimization.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. We're HopTech. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for HopTech. And this is my counterpart, Balaji.
Balaji Guntur, I'm the COO of HopTech.
Yeah, we're not as quite as lively as you guys, but we're going to try and bring the little game here and bring up the game a little bit here.
You bring it in results. That's all on the trucking.
We're all about the results.
They don't care how you act here. They care about how you act on that computer, how that optimization happens.
That's a great point. So we bring AI fleet-based optimization solutions to the trucking industry, full truckload industry. We're taking it by storm. We're relatively new. We've been around for a few years, but happy to say, you know about our solution and what we're capable of. We're kind of breaking across the industry, and we're talking about utilization, operating ratio, retention, and better revenue and better miles for your drivers.
Let me ask a quick question, and I know that it seems like in the last year we all talk about it. We talk about it here on BCB Live about the amount of data that's starting to be dumped in to our systems and anything that we get. There is just it's more than it's like a tidal wave right now of information, right? And to be able to weave through that is what we're talking about doing, right?
That's correct. So if you think about the amount of data that's coming into companies, right? So with the ELD mandate happening, suddenly everybody knows where the truck is, everybody knows what the driver's hours of service is. There's a lot of visibility solutions, so you know exactly what the temperature of your container is, those kind of things. So much data that's coming in, but in some sense what has happened is companies are still doing a lot of things manually, right? There's still a lot of manual processes, a lot of tribal knowledge in the way planning is occurring. And how is all this data going to be taken beyond visibility? How do you draw insights from it? How do you draw decisions from it, right? And that's really where optimization starts to kick in, because one of the things that we do at HopTech is to process all this data. We basically try to take a snapshot of the network. It's a digital twin of the network. Where are the trucks? What are the drivers' hours of service? What loads are underway? And then look at all the loads that you still need to plan, and basically say what are the best decisions your planners need to be doing right now, so that you're moving the trucks optimally, your drivers are getting the miles, they are able to go home, right? All of those things are the things that matter.
But how far out are you looking? We talk about getting it to off the manual side, the tribal knowledge.
Right.
The tribal knowledge, usually you may be out a couple of days. Are you able to go out further than 2 days on getting a driver home, for example?
We are able to plan all the way up to a driver going home and even beyond.
Wow.
Right? Now the way we do this thing is for all the loads in the system, we are able to say, given where the truck is, given the load that they're doing, what are all the possible combinations for these drivers? What could they do after this and what could they after that? And each one of them calculated as based on hours of service, right? Where do you take breaks, and are you able to reach the customer on time, and so on. So we can actually plan this out further out. But what we also do is the network is going to keep changing on you. Even as much as you're able to see around the corner, it basically tells your planners what are the decisions you have to make in the next 3 to 4 hours of planning cycle, and then keep doing it over and over again. So it's not like a optimization that is built once, but a real-time dynamic optimization engine, which basically means that anytime I want to see a change, I can snap the fingers, get an optimization in 10 minutes or less, and keep doing the right decisions at any point.
We believe it's important to keep adapting in a dynamic environment. I think that's what's really important. And we're not just talking about planning, we're talking about being able to dispatch it.
Wow.
I think that's the secret sauce here. There's a lot of others out there that talk about planning, but dispatching is where the rubber meets the road.
And think about what happens in a planning, in a typical company. You guys do this all day. There's a planner who is doing the planning, and then the dispatcher gets the information, and the dispatcher is managing the driver. And there's quite a bit of a slip between the planner and the dispatcher on a daily basis. Fires are being put out, and when you're able to snap a network twin and do this optimization in real life, in real time, these roles of a planner and the dispatcher kind of come together, right? It's almost as if we have a fleet specialist who is allowing a chess engine that's on the back end that's making all the chess moves for them, and they're just like placing those moves and always being optimal.
Yeah, he said chess, not checkers. Drive safe, Dave.
No, I'm a chess guy. I'm a chess guy.
A little, and that means, in other words, they're going back and they're grabbing a lot of data. Playing chess, you're saying that, but you're taking all of these tools today. And Dave, a struggle that you would see on the operations side, maybe this is that, man, why would my guy do this load right here? It doesn't make any sense because we're not seeing the big picture.
Exactly.
That's got to be a natural struggle when you're talking to a trucking company and they say, well, why would I deadhead 250 miles here
to go get that
to
load?
Go get that load.
Yeah.
I got a load right here, 20 miles away from it.
That's
Exactly.
the micro view versus the macro view, to your point.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of us have tried before to kind of outsmart Waze, right? People are like, I know how to shortcut Waze, but Waze is looking way down the road and has a much more global view. That's really about the same way we
really-
operate.
Yeah,
It's a good perspective.
It's like
I like that.
We talk chess, and it's all about the moves, right? It's all about the moves way out. 6 moves, 10 moves, 20 moves ahead. You
Right.
get way out there, and I'm like, okay, I give up. Just go knock the king over because there's no sense in even getting started because it's already figured out a way to win. We're talking real dollars, aren't we? We're talking about real savings by optimizing when you get into there. What are we talking about? Like, how much money are we saving? What are we really saving?
So, I mean, we have done this in a bunch of companies right now, and what we are basically seeing over and over again is an ability to get 20% more revenue miles per truck, right? I almost look at this and say, how about an 8-day work week for you? Instead of a 7-day week, you add one more day to this thing, and that's the amount of miles you're actually getting. Your drivers are moving more. They're basically able to get more pay, right? They're also able to go home on time, and we essentially route everyone through. So the impact is actually massive for the network. Your trucks are more utilized. Your deadhead goes down quite a bit because basically what you're doing, you're squeezing the inefficiencies in your network, and these inefficiencies are basically in terms of where your deadhead is, where your dwell is. Are you able to pick up and drop off on time? Do you have a better control on visibility to the driver's schedule? When you start to control all of those things, you suddenly start to see these inefficiencies vanish. That's the 20%.
How long does it take for that company to see that 20%? I mean, is it a 7% year one, 20% year? How is it immediate? Because there still has to be buy-in, right, from that trucking company. I mean, I don't care what you say, I'm not going to believe it. It doesn't make sense to me because I've never done it like that before. So somehow I've got to believe the data, right? I got to believe that. I got to blind faith and say, okay, what you're saying is working. Let's see.
We have had customers invoke Missouri on us. It's like, show me, right? So that's happened, and you're absolutely right. So it's not one of where it needs to be incremental. I think the biggest factor in being able to get value from this is going to be based on the quality of your data. That's a big one.
Agree.
Right? And the second one is how quickly your operations team is going to stop second guessing the optimizer.
So that's
Those
a big
are
point.
The big ones that come. So it's the change management.
Change management, absolutely. That's where I am. Everybody's got a different journey on this. There's nuances throughout every organization. You can move as fast as you want or as moderately as you'd like to.
I think that takes and what you're talking about here is a genuine relationship and a relationship that you build with that team that you work with.
Yeah.
You don't basically just go, here's the record, y'all listen to it, we'll see you later. It's
not a relationship, it's a partnership.
It's a partnership, right?
We're all in this
you gotta go
together.
in, work together, because it's not going to fit like a shoe, right at first. I mean, I'm not going to start running day one, right? You're not going to say, here's your brand new shoes, we'll see,
That's right.
it's going to be uncomfortable day one. It's not going to fit right. We're going to have to try out another pair. You're going to have to say, well, okay, we'll be back tomorrow. We bring you a new pair. How does that one feel? Well, it's a little rubs in the toe a little bit. it's kind of how it goes, right? And then but as you move forward and you start to believe in it and learn from it,
Trust it.
You start trusting it.
right.
How long have you seen that trust really come about?
Usually it takes about, I would say, 3 months, 8 weeks. And the reason I say this is because when we go in and we talk to a customer, first thing we realize is that the data they have is not good enough, right? For the kind of things you have to do, all these companies are usually doing back of the envelope calculations, Shadow and Excel and so on and so forth. How do you get your TMS system, the source of truth, to be good enough to be able to use an optimization engine? That comes from people that are not tracking driver home times, people that are not basically writing down or updating the windows for a customer pickup and drop off. These things are critical for a computer to know. So much goes in the heads of the planners when they do these things. How do you take it out and put it in there? So that piece is probably the longest part. And once you do that, and once the data is in, what we see, there is a tipping point, 6-8 weeks, the magic happens, and suddenly all the planners who say, I don't believe a computer can do this, start to wonder and say, that's actually as good if not better than what I can do.
Wow.
And that change happens.
So how do you measure that, or can you even measure what you said you would have done with that same freight that I made a different decision on? Can you come back to me and say, hey, had you just done what we said, this is how much revenue you would have made during this period, but this is what you did. So you can run your reports and you run the two and you can see, can you measure that yet, or is that just?
I'm glad you asked, because I think that's really a big part of how we tell the customers how much are you leaving on the table, because this is not one that is easy to see.
Yes.
Right? This is an opportunity cost. It's not easy to measure.
Yep.
And the only way you could say, but my network is so different, right? And the only way we do this is basically take some historic data and go back and look at all the ways in which you have made decisions, the planners have made decisions on a daily basis. What if Hoptech solution ran the same thing? What would you have gotten for it? And conclusively keep telling you that, hey, you are running a fleet of 1,800, 2,000 miles, a driver a week. Maybe you are a 1,500, maybe you're at $1,200 a day revenue per driver. How do you push it up? And if you conclusively see it week after week after week, and we are able to show you a few snapshots like that, I think that's where it's at that point in time, it is about the value is there. How do we organize ourselves to go get it? Right?
Yeah. So I think you asked a great question. Part of understanding where the value is part of what we do. Is a kind of an upfront pre-due diligence, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a look at your baseline, your current data today, and establish a baseline of where you are and what the decisions we would have recommended. And for you, to your point, in terms of how long you might see it, where you are today, where you could be down the road, our recommendations, that's the value proposition, right? And we want everybody to get into this partnership, as you said, versus just a relationship. We want everybody to go in with eyes wide open and really make it successful. So that's part of why we do what we do.
It's really come about, this optimization, really because of all this data that's coming in, because we can struggle all day working on these plans and working on this. Where are we going with this? Obviously, we know where we're at now. Shine me into the future of where you think optimization is going to go and what it's going to do for this industry.
Well,
Crystal
this
ball.
industry has not had optimization.
Little crystal
at all.
ball.
Right. This industry has not had an optimization at all. Right? Most of the people are doing manual planning. The expectation is that if everybody does optimization, there should be a significant improvement in your utilization, right? And we have heard this from our customers, where they say their customers, the shippers or their people moving loads, are coming to them and saying, I have a target for what the carbon tax needs to be, or the emissions cost needs to be. And so there's actually imposition of, can you meet this as a criteria? So it's almost as if, unless there are these companies that are organizing themselves to use optimization as a way to improve, right? This big lever of being able to be more effective with the existing trucks that you have, give up.
I mean, what I was leading to, and I thought Rick was going to jump in, and I thought Rick was going to say, is optimization the answer to our driver shortage problem?
It is a big answer to that. It's a big answer to that, and let me explain this, right?
There's no silver bullet, but it is a significant
it's a big
portion
part of it, right?
Yeah.
Because today, driver dissatisfaction is huge. Driver shortage is big. We all know it. There's AT has said there's 1 million drivers you need in the next 10 years or whatever. The next generation is not coming in. They have alternatives, right? They are all looking for a lifestyle at work where they're able to go home more predictably. They want to make more money, right? And they don't want to be sitting around waiting for a load unload to happen. Yep. They don't want to drive empty because they're not getting as much pay. Optimization is a way in which you essentially are able to say, given the set of loads we have and given the network, this is the best you can do. Now, that's one of the two things HotTech does. The second thing is, once you start exposing a lot of these gaps in your network, is to basically get digital freight matching. And basically say, if a driver is going home and deadheading, is there a load that you can add that's not in your committed loads, but there is load boards and there is brokerages. And what we basically do is to not only look at the loads that you are committed to that you want to move, but also to see opportunistically what else is out there. Load boards, brokerages, the turndowns that you have, ad hoc loads, your own internal brokerages, everything. Look at it's like, can I start fishing in this pond right now and start to fill the gaps on the deadheads? If you become optimum, there are going to be some trucks that are not going to have to move. You do more with less, right?
Is there any time that the optimization says, hey, you know what, this freight that you have in your system, this really isn't good for you guys? I mean, it is here. I mean, and I'm just saying, that's just not your good fit, or if you're going to make it fit, we're going to need to add something else. Does that ever conversation come about?
It does come about a lot, and basically the way it manifests itself is in terms of the loads that are not getting picked up, or the trucks that once they have moved a load, don't have something to come back, right? So you always see this as, a natural imbalance in the network that starts to happen, right? So there is this capacity issue or a demand issue, and these things, this is exactly where optimization helps, because if you are taking care of the optimization needs in the next, say, 24 hours, your planners and your CSRs are now looking around saying, this is the network I'm going to inherit 24 hours, 36 hours from now. Do I have the loads for it? Do I have the movements that I need? And they can actually start looking more proactively. And that's one big way in which you can close gaps. But if you see consistently things happening, maybe you have loads that are more expensive for you. We actually do a simple measurement. We call it a revenue per hour, which is basically saying, in order to move this load, how much did I deadhead into it, how much did I wait, and in the total elapsed time, from the time the driver left the prior load to finishing this load, what was the total revenue that was earned, and how does this revenue on a time basis compare to all the other loads you're doing? And you can actually start seeing what you might have thought as good loads are not really good for you. And we can actually start to surface many of those kind of insights that are otherwise hard to see.
And Rick had a sneak preview. You saw the metrics running across our demo, and revenue per hour is up there as well. But I think your comment about driver retention, I don't think this issue is ever going to go away. And one of the reasons why we created this was because the driver is king in any environment, right? So we know that making money or driving the best piece of equipment out there, and a whole other bunch of metrics matter, but not as much as being profitable and making revenue to bring home your own paycheck and be at home. I mean,
let's face it, at the end of the day, that driver's out there running, and you're out there on the road right now. You have 70 hours in that week. I mean, the more that you can utilize, you're out the same amount anyway.
That's right.
You want to make more money. You make more money, the trucking company makes more money. And Dave, you know that just from other numbers that we run, is that a trucking company today, here's the odd part, should do okay if they're running 67% of their 70 hours. And isn't that crazy, the fact that you're thinking, woo, boy, we made a 67 and we're okay.
Right.
That's that utilization that you have, right? That's what I'm talking about. That's the money in the pocket. But I also believe, Dave, that, and when we look at the metrics today across the country, we see rejection rates going down. I think technology is also helping carriers see things they've never seen before.
Right.
So that's a great point. So around the load board opportunity, excuse me, seeing freight, we've had clients before come to us and say, I want to see the whole universe of freight out there. I want visibility. So I can start to pick the right appropriate freight for us, and by location, geography, and according to equipment, driver, what fits our business model. So I think that's very important too. But I think your point is very well taken as well. The metric or the bar is so low.
Yes.
It's got to come up. Everybody's got to be a higher performing organization.
Really do.
And I think when you talk to route planning and optimization and dispatch and everything like that, that's what this does, because it's going to take your dispatch and planners and put them into a much more strategic position rather than being tactical.
They become optimizers, right? They become the folks that are putting that extra money on that truck. And so for the trucking company, I'll say this, listen, you got to make sure you sell it right to your people too.
Right.
You can't go and say, man, we have this optimizer, they're coming in here,
shove it down your throat.
They're going to do it, and then you won't have a job.
That's right.
Nobody's going to buy into that, right?
No,
It's not
absolutely not.
So you got to sell, you know what, your folks don't necessarily go, they become the folks that become optimizers. They're helping you go from 70 to 85% utilization.
They're champions.
Putting that extra money on that truck and in that company.
They are your champions in the door.
That's exactly right.
I mean, all these people,
Exactly
just
right.
going back to the chess example, all these people are playing chess like a grandmaster.
Checkers.
Right?
Yeah.
They're playing like a grandmaster, even though they are not one, and you're always going to be better, and it ups the game for everyone.
Oh yeah, no, it's exciting. I love that technology, and two things. Not only does it put money in that company, but to your point there, it goes out and looks. And tell me if I'm wrong, but it's looking out to make sure your driver that's got to be home in 7 days, that they're gonna get home in 7 days and get home the most profitable way,
That's
right?
That's
And as a carrier, I'll challenge this too. I know we talked about it a little bit. Listen, data. How critical is data? Because you can't call you up today. I can't call Hoptech up and say, hey, you know what? I'm ready to go. I've got to make sure all of my data.
You could have good intentions, but you're right. I think it all begins with the data, and I think we know throughout the whole industry, even in varied experiences, that data quality varies, availability, and then some are just drowning in data.
Oh yeah.
And there's nobody to help interpret some of that data and bring in the pipe and help to leverage it, right?
So one of the things we do is really up the game in terms of data management and data quality for our customers.
That's a great
point.
point.
So off the bat, we basically publish all the ways in which the data is not clean, and make sure that if there are a few things you have to do to get the data right, what are those?
Got it.
And that way you're not boiling the ocean.
Yep.
Really focusing on this few things that you have to do to get the data to a quality.
So if you want to become Bobby Fischer, you get a hold of you guys right now, right? And then you can be the Grandmaster Champions of all time. Anybody can do it, right? By doing that. How do we get a hold of you guys? I mean, honestly, we got you up. What's the best way to reach you guys?
Hoptech.ai is probably the best way to reach us online. Fill out an inquiry form, and we'd be more than happy to get back to you and talk about.
Hoptek.ai. I am Balaji Guntur, Sean Maharaj, and I think there is some information about us on this video as well. You know where to find us, and we are very eager to talk.
We're excited.
So it's whether you're running dedicated, whether you're running over the road, drive and reefer, it really doesn't matter, right? You've got that opportunity. If you're struggling right now with knowing how if you're struggling right now with the profits, which is happening right now to many of you, you got to find a way to put more miles, more productivity on that unit.
Loaded
This
miles.
is what we're talking about right here.
Right.
Finding ways to create utilization, better utilization, and I promise you, you're sitting on 33% open utilization you're not even using. You got to find a way to use that. You really do.
That's money in the bank. That's money in the bank. And you know what? That's how to build on. And I'll tell you what, man, I appreciate you guys coming out here.
Thank you.
To jumping in on the show, coming in here at the WIT in 2022, right?
It's great to be here.
Isn't it neat?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, listen, we'll be back with more BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation.